Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to Outraised Voices. If it's your first time here, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Thank you, appreciate it, and I hope you brought a friend. Today's topic, what we're going to talk about today, is the first $100, your journey to financial empowerment. Have you ever felt like wealth is out of reach, like no matter how hard you try, you'll never have enough money to live the life you want? Well, you're not alone in thinking that financial security is only for the lucky few. But what if I told you that you have the power to change your financial future, starting with just your first $100 or paycheck or whatever that means to you? Now, saving money might seem like a small step, but it's one of the most powerful actions you can take to build a brighter future. That first $100 is more than just money. It's a symbol of your worth and your commitment to yourself. When you save, you're telling yourself that you deserve to have a prosperous future. And you do. So that's what we're going to talk about today with our financial CEO expert, Faisal Butt, who is going to help you to understand some basic ways to save money when you're just starting out. Our guest CEO today is financial expert Faisal Butt. And I'm going to give you Faisal's titles so you know who we're talking to, what we're talking about. He has an MBA, an FMA, a QAFP, and is Senior Investment Advisor with IA Private Wealth. Now, full disclosure, everybody, I have worked with Faisal. Yes, he is my advisor, and he's a fabulous advisor. So I've learned a lot through him.
Thank you, Sharon.
How you doing, Faisal?
I'm doing well. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. Thank you for taking time out. I know how busy you are. I know you have lots of big clients, so I'm so glad you're here spending time with us today.
Pleasure to be here.
So basically, you understand what's going on today. We are doing the first $100, your first paycheck, really to support youth and young adults, anybody actually, but young adults who have their first paycheck, who have gone out in the world, got this first paycheck, and okay, now what? So we're going to talk a little bit about saving, or a lot about saving.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give you a little story first, how saving looked like to me. When I was young, and I'm going to say under the age of 10, I had a piggy bank. That's how it worked. That's what all my friends had. We had piggy banks. We put in this little extra money. When the adults came along for our birthdays or Christmas, they'd put maybe a dollar bill in there if you were lucky, $1 bill or 50 cents. Now, just to tell you, my allowance was 50 cents a week. I know you all are going, what? But in those days, 50 cents bought a lot of candy. I'm going to say that, a lot of candy. But, I put all that extra money, whatever the dimes and the quarters, I put it in my piggy bank. Now, I can't remember what I did with it. If I was conscientious about at Christmas time buying a gift, I'd like to think so. That's what I did with it. But I just remember having a piggy bank. So I'm going to ask you, Faisal, what was your piggy bank equivalent? And before you answer, I just want to say to everybody, Faisal is not in my decade. Not at all, at all, at all. He's not, was way past the rotary phones. Okay, so, so,
Well,
so tell us, Faisal, what was the equivalent of your piggy bank?
yeah, no, well, first of all, thank you for having me. Really excited to be here and share some valuable insight, and really excited to be honest with you. Well, my first piggy bank was, yes, same thing. It could be relatable to your to viewers as well. Putting money on birthdays, putting money on Christmas time, and any other events which was there. We used to put money there, and it was the same thing as that. It was as simple as putting money in. And I remember by 12 or 13, I came across this very interesting book in the library, in our library in the house, and I read it, and I said, wait a minute, I think I can do a little bit better.
So you were around age 12. Now you're thinking this.
Yeah, I just read something and it was very interesting, and we really found it interesting how central banks operate and how one or two decisions by central banks can make a difference in every person's life, right? So I was like, that's very interesting. What else can I do with this $50 that I have?
But Faisal, you're way ahead of us at 12. Way at 12? No. Well, that's why you are an MBA, FMA, QAFP, which we're going to ask all about that. So, so at 12, you're thinking this way. Now, before we get on to that, what was the influence of your family? And how did did your parents sit down and have the conversation with you around money? Did they have that conversation?
Well, yes and no. Money was part of it, but it was not something that we had a discussion on the table all the time. It was important to know what you're spending, watch what you're spending, but it was not like, this is how you got to spend it, not regimented in that way. We used to get an allowance for helping out here and there, but it was never really, watch your spending this way or that way. But it was more of a soft approach on what you do, how you do it.
Right, which is what I think a lot of parents do.
Yes.
We're not trying to break it down because we don't know all the ins and outs of all of this, and that's why our expert Faisal is here with us. So, understanding you're going through this at 12, do you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah, absolutely. We're three brothers, including me. So the two other brothers were older than me, and one sister as well.
So did everybody save the same way, have the same approach to finances, or are you sort of the outlier in a way?
Well, yes, the household did put in the idea of saving and investing. That was their softer approach. And, when you start off early, it was put it into our minds that, starting off early is think of it as like planting a tree.
Yeah.
You plant a tree, the earlier you start, the better it is. So that kind of education came from the house, soft kind of approach. My other two brothers are in the medical profession, medical doctors. So I guess they're doing okay as well financially. So that's there. So yeah, they did come in that from our family of, planting a tree. The earlier you planted, the tree would be smaller, and slowly and gradually it'll grow. You gotta look after it a little bit more in the beginning. So that kind of thing stuck with me.
Yeah.
When I was young, and maybe it helped me a little bit, planning my future, putting a more concrete approach to where I want to go. So I think it did help me out that way. Yeah.
Well, did you have a mentor at some point? Did you whoever could have been on TV or in books, or did you have someone that you thought, okay, this person is someone I respect or would like to be like, as we all sort of have that?
Yeah. I mean, I read a lot about Warren Buffett and his investment philosophy and how he buys quality companies and his investment style, how he was doing. So I read a lot about him. That influenced my style of investing as well, of being conservative, staying with quality, staying with, staying away from the hot idea of the month,
Right.
to say. So quality, well time tested investments. So that I would say one way or another influenced me.
So I'm going to take you back to, okay, you're a teenager now.
Yes.
You're a teenager, and we have things that we want to do as a teenager. Yes, we're saving, we're saving, we're saving. You are now into
Yes.
understanding, yes, these finances. What were the frivolous things that you spent your money on, or did you have like a frivolous thing? Because teenagers, we tend to kind of go off somewhere, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think a lot of your viewers would be able to relate to it, is that the challenges I face were what many people would encounter, balancing budgets with immediate expenses, navigating investment choices, and dealing with unexpected financial setbacks, even, when you're a teenager.
But what
So
did you do, Faisal? What did you do?
what did I do? Well, what I did do was that I had extra money, amount of money that I had, I was putting it into an investment. So what I
Wow.
did do at that time was buying a good quality mutual fund back in the day, which was nicely diversified. It was smaller numbers,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
So smaller number, put in, and when I look at that savings today, it has grown into a big amount, definitely,
Wow.
that I did, yeah.
Wow. Were you able to talk to your friends about that? I mean, did you encourage your friend, hey, come on, you got to do this? Because, I had
Yeah,
friends like that, but sometimes you don't listen when you're a teenager. You don't hear that. You become very self-absorbed as a teenager until you
absolutely. Yeah.
get over that hump and you decide now, okay, I want to go to university.
Yes.
And I've now you've decided you want to work in
Correct.
finances. I'm going to
Finance. Yes.
you are going to get your,
Master's in Business Administration. Yes.
that's right,
And
that's
then
your
MBA.
MBA.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
first one.
That's the first one.
That's
Yes.
the first one. All right, so let's talk a little bit about, okay, you have this first paycheck. Let's sort of get down. Let's talk
Yeah.
turkey, as they say. We get down to the first paycheck. I know when I was older, of course, we had passbooks, and you'd have to go to the bank, and you get your paycheck, go to the bank, and they do something and tell you what you had in it. And now everything, of course, is online banking.
Yeah.
People don't know passbooks and all that
Yes.
stuff.
Absolutely.
But what I understood was there's checking and there's savings. So you come
Correct.
out with this your bank account, and also high interest. I want to ask you about that too. High interest savings.
Right.
So checking. Let's talk about checking.
Right. So, when you're doing banking, you have the checking account where
Yeah.
you do your day-to-day stuff, and then you take the money that you don't need for the next 2 months, 3 months. You could have it in your savings account as well. And depending how the interest rates are, and they're reducing them. Yesterday, the Bank of Canada announced it. They're reducing it by
Yeah.
25 basis points. So your rate on savings account would be reduced as well. And then so on and so forth. They would be reducing it further. So
But
your rate on your savings would be reducing as well down the road. Sorry, go ahead.
no, that's okay. I was going to say with checking though, there's no interest on checking. Am I correct? There are not.
I cannot make a blanket statement that some institutions, some
Have that.
banks
Oh, I see.
offer might be a very, very little, a smaller interest on your checking, but
Smaller
on your saving, yeah. So could be even less than 0.5% on your checking account.
Okay, and then you go to savings. Is there a
Then
difference
you go
between
to your
savings and high
savings
interest
account.
savings?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. So money that you probably don't need for a little bit, you can put it into your next bucket of savings. And some institution allow you to move the money back and forth, as many transactions as you want, depending on the package that you have. You can have major chunk in your savings, so you're earning interest, and you're having some growth on your money,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can move it back and forth. You can do that. So that's very basic, that a lot of
Yeah,
individuals
that's
do.
very
Yeah,
basic, but that's where we're starting. So
yeah,
we know
yeah,
checking is probably when you want to pay your bills and you want
right.
to, whatever it is you want to do. And then savings, you kind of think about, there's a mindset, hey, I want to put some money away for something I'm saving for. Could be school, it could be, who knows, who knows.
Absolutely, absolutely,
But investing in yourself, and it starts
correct.
there.
Absolutely.
So, but is there a difference, did you say, between savings and high interest savings, or is it just
I think it would be depending on institution
on
to
the institution?
institution wise and how they put their name out there. So
Oh, okay.
I would say probably not the difference. Yeah.
And just for our audience, I want you to know Faisal is in Canada. We're talking a lot about Canadian financials, but you can Google wherever you are. There is an equivalent of how you can save and all these things we're talking about. So talk to your bank or Google or invest in yourself. We're just talking about savings. It just happens to be in Canada at the moment, but I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes. Yes.
So we've done the high interest savings or savings. Now, do we go to RRSPs? Is that the next step or not?
Right. So RRSPs is your registered retired savings plan, and then along the side you also have, your tax-free savings account. So, excuse me. So what does tend to happen is, let's say your income was, as a number, say 100,000. So any contributions that you've made into your registered retirement savings plan would be tax deductible, meaning you would be paying tax not on 100,000. If that is what your income was and you made $10,000 contribution, you would be paying taxes on 90,000. Now, the investments inside this plan, take it like as a bucket, will grow tax free. But when you withdraw the money, you will be typically in retirement, and you would be in a lower tax bracket. So you'll be taxed at a lower marginal tax rate. And I'm sure in other countries as well, you have these different plans as well. But different, they call it in different names as well. So this is a great product to have. Yeah.
So we're not, for our beginner user, we're not going into RRSPs yet. We're not there yet. So where do we go after our savings? What can we do with our savings now?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think you're right on the money on that question. When you're starting off, both RSPs and tax-frees are great tool. But when you are just starting off, probably it'll be better. Studies have shown to doing tax-free savings account as your contribution. That's your first step, because see, contributions are not tax deductible, right? Number one, in tax-free savings account, but investments are growing tax-free. Right. So if you're 100,000 right now, down the road becomes 200, you never pay tax on it, and withdrawals are tax free, basically. Right. So this makes your tax free savings account in Canada a great tool for your regular contribution into this account.
So when's a good time to sort of invest in a TFSA, the tax-free? When is there a number that you say, okay, hey, I've got this number, let me go over and
there's really no number. So how, as a rule of thumb, an average rule of thumb is that if you're in a higher bracket, let's say you're above a certain threshold, but when you're starting off, probably it's better to do tax-free contributions more, because later on you will be in a higher tax bracket. And when you're in a higher tax bracket, the more contributions you're going to do towards the RRSP, you will get more deductions from your income.
Yeah,
right?
I hope we're all following you here. So if you're saving money and you're that intro saver, and you say, okay, I think I can take some money and put into RRSPs. Is there a limit on what if I put in Are we starting with $100? Can I do that? No.
Absolutely.
Oh, you
No, you
can.
absolutely
See?
you can.
Yeah, yeah.
You
So
can do it. You can do as little as you
as
want. But there are maximums
yes,
on both of these, and you don't want to make more than you're
then
allowed
you're
to.
allowed. Yeah, then you're allowed
Right?
to.
There are certain taxes. Sorry, there are certain penalties that you would
Yes.
have to pay
Yeah.
to the taxman. In Canada, it's a certain penalty that you would have to pay per month. So you got to watch how much you can contribute.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can start off as little as you can, and
Yeah.
it's a
But
great thing.
start.
Yeah,
What we're encouraging people to do is to start. We're talking
absolutely,
$100,000 or $50. Just start because as you said
absolutely.
before, the earlier you start, the
Yeah,
runway is longer, and we all think that we're going to go on forever when we're young, and then all of a sudden
correct.
you've hit 40. It's like, oh my goodness,
Where
where
did the
has the
time go? Yeah,
time gone?
yeah,
So
yeah.
that is, we want you to start. We want to encourage our youth to start somewhere, and don't be afraid to ask
Yes,
questions. Go to the
absolutely.
bank, ask questions, look it up, and educate yourself about what you can do for your
Correct.
financial wealth.
Correct.
So
100%
we
correct.
RESPs are for families, or that's
RESPs is for the kids.
for your kids'
Like you can
education.
contribute towards your kids' education. You can take it out. It could be tax in the hands for the child, or it could be tax in the hand of the contributor. It could be the parent, the guardian, the grandparent.
Right.
So that's how the registered education savings plan is. And you know, I would add one more thing here is that once you hit that pause button and you don't want to invest and you want to wait for that perfect time, right? So it's so hard to start again because you say, you know what, market's going to fall now and market's going to rise again, right? So if the market's, you cannot time the market basically. The person who says you can time the market is the biggest liar. We all want to sell high and buy low. So when you're doing the regular contributions, um, that's the best way to do it. If the markets are falling, you're still buying them at a lower dollar, and that will help you in the long run, and will put in that discipline in you. That would be the best thing in starting early.
Well, okay, so we've covered RRSPs,
Yeah.
TFSAs, which, RESPs. Now let's talk about what is a mutual fund. We're just getting languaging here, folks.
Sure,
So
sure,
so as
absolutely.
we go along in our wealth building, we understand next steps and how to do this. What is a mutual fund?
Right. So mutual funds are a pool of money where people, other investors, put in their money, and then there is a portfolio manager and there are a team behind that, their research team, where they would buy it based on a certain mandate they have. Either it's a diversified portfolio or not. So it's a combination of stocks, bonds, and other securities. So it just gives you that for smaller dollar values. It gives you that diversification. It does reduce your downside risk tremendously. That as well.
And is
Yes,
there
yes.
any entry level for that? Is there?
Um, well, different mutual funds would have their different minimums,
Okay.
like on a monthly contribution, but I'm sure several offer $50 or $100 contributions as well. And that I think that's really important for
Yeah.
individuals to do. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, now we were on to bonds and stocks. And I'll
okay,
tell you a little bit about bonds for me. And I know very little about, even though I have
sure,
to say
sure,
you've been so helpful in teaching me, but it's,
sure.
about all of this stuff. Bonds for me, this is what I know. At the age of 31, I bought my first home as a single woman. And
Yeah,
how I did that was I had been buying bonds, before Canada savings bonds before that.
yeah,
Bought these bonds, and then when I was 31, the interest rates just went nuts. So I cashed in my bonds to put a down payment on the house, although it wasn't easy, because as a single woman they challenged me. The fact that I was in show business and I didn't have a regular paycheck, even though I had a significant amount in the bank, that I was challenged. And I remember the bank manager at that time said it would have been easier if you were married and had two incomes. Does that still sort of mentality exist, or because there are a lot of single women out there now with funds, but are they? Yeah. Do you know of that? Are they still sort of getting that reaction when they go for mortgages?
I would doubt that if that mentality would be existing, and back then things were different. But
this is an 81. Just for those of you watching, this was 19. I think it was 81, 1981, somewhere.
No, we have come a long way. We have come a long way since then, and I'm glad we did that. And going back to your point, you mentioned about what stocks are, what bonds are. Yeah. So stocks represent ownership in a company, and they can offer you higher returns, but also come with higher risk as well. And bonds, they're basically loans, right? So you're giving a company or a government a loan, right? And you pay, they pay you interest over this time period, and they generally are less riskier than stocks. But then, right now where interest rates are going down, you got to see what is right for you and when you need the money, and then you make those decisions based on that, right? Back in the day, yes, we hear all those stories. You get 15%, 16% on bonds, but
back in the day.
Back in the day, yes, yes. I read that, but I wasn't working then. I was probably in my diapers then, right?
So. All right, don't push it. Yeah. Don't push it. Yeah. Back in the day, I was in the day. And for those of you yes, I did it that way, but I have to say that part of the reason why I bought a house, I was thinking about it before I came on with you, Faisal, was that I was in, like I said, I was in show business, and I spent a lot of my money buying clothes and shoes. I justified it because I was in show business, so I got to get my hair done, I got to get my nails done, and I wasn't getting write-offs. I wasn't incorporated then, or whatever I was doing. And I remember standing in a very fancy store looking at a very fancy jacket, and it was probably like $1,500. Wow. And I remember saying to myself, I was considering buying this jacket, and then something snapped in me and said, "What are you doing? What are you doing? You're 30 years old. What are you going to do? Are you going to wear these when you're 40, 50, 35? No." And it was just like this voice that said, "Okay, stop.
Yes.
Stop.
Yeah.
And let's take a look at something else another way." And that's how I went from just being, I don't want to say a consumer, to an investor, but it's kind of like that as a single woman.
Yeah.
Just the mindset. And that's at 31. But you guys out there who are starting, you can start early. Forget about the houses. You don't have to buy a house. But invest in yourself. That's what we want. Faisal and I want you to know, keep investing in yourself. There are options out there to empower you. So we've done bonds and compound interest.
Yes. So when compounding interest is when you're invested, then you get the interest, and then when your interest is also earning interest on top of that. So in the long run, if you're doing regular investing, this is the most powerful tool that is going to be there. When you're paying yourself first, and then you're having that compounding interest going, this is going to be great, and it's going to help you tremendously in the long run.
Now we're on to, as you said before, we're talking about the hot topics of today: cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin. Yeah. What is that? I'll tell you, I don't know. I don't know what that is. What is that?
The people let's put it this way, Bitcoin, it's difficult to dodge a discussion around cryptocurrency, blockchain these days, and it's a virtual currency, right? So cryptocurrencies are digital currencies, are virtual currencies. They use what do you call it? Cryptography for security, right? And then you'll say, what is that term? So cryptography is a process in which they hide or code the information. So only one person is able to see that message.
Oh,
So that's how they do it. Bitcoin, which is their most popular cryptocurrency and the largest one out there with the largest market capitalization. This started back in 2008. The original intent was great. The original intent of blockchain was to disrupt the global payment network, right, by enabling peer-to-peer digital payment. And you do not require a trusted third party like a bank. You don't need Wells Fargo, you don't need TD Bank as a third party. So the payment is going from one person to another person right there, or one party to another party. But there are more disadvantages, as I would feel, as a firm, as what we feel, why there are advantages to it, to cryptocurrency. Besides being volatile, besides having so much risk, but there are people who might want to invest in that, but that's their choice, and that's how it is.
yeah.
Because it just, as long as they understand what they're doing, because we believe the disadvantage of investing in Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies actually outweigh the advantages, and there are reasons some investors may consider investing, and it's their choice. Yeah.
Well, you make a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Choice. This is what you have. You have choice. There's lots of things out there for you to do.
Yes.
But just again, educate yourself.
Right.
And we are just talking about certain
Correct.
things here, but
Yes.
it is your choice. It's always your choice.
Absolutely.
Education.
Yes.
And I think I asked you this before. The ROI, the
Return on investment.
yes, the return of investment on education.
Yes.
What do you see that? How do you see that?
Yeah, no, I think the best thing you can do is invest in yourself. The best ROI you can get would be improving your skills, how you talk, how you present yourself, how you communicate with people. You know what? What do you call the lawyer who was at the bottom of his class? A lawyer, right? What do you call a doctor who was at the bottom of his class? Still a doctor, right?
That. That's true. That's true. That's
right,
true.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
the
So if
education. Invest in yourself and your skills and the ability to speak and read, and
True.
that's the best investment you can
That's
make.
the best investment you can do.
Yes.
In yourself. Improve yourself. There are several organizations out there that help you to get confident how you want to speak in front of public, how you want to speak in front of gatherings and seminars. We still see a lot of people who come in and they say, testing, are you able to hear me? Whatnot, even at seminars who are in our category. So, if you do that, it will help you a lot on how you navigate through your life.
Yeah,
Right.
you are very polished. I have to say
No.
this, as
No.
an interviewee, you are very polished
No.
and
No.
articulate, and not too many. I actually haven't heard any ums and unlike myself, but I love that, and you've invested in yourself.
Yeah.
So invest in yourself. Now, what haven't we talked about that you can? What haven't we talked about that our viewers might be interested in, or
Yeah, I would add one more point. I know you talked about cryptocurrency, and a lot of younger individuals that I go to gatherings do talk about it, and we do believe I mean, it's our belief, my belief as well with that education that I have limited, is that cryptocurrency, besides being highly speculative, it's highly risky.
Yes.
And we recommend following time-tested investment principles and not letting, again, I would say, is the fear of missing out.
Yes, FOMO.
Yeah, that fear that I'm going to miss out, and that impact your long-term investment strategy or your long-term goals. Because remember, do your homework, get educated, and then decide on the investments that match your risk tolerance, right? Because if you're down 50%, you need 100% return to go back up to the same level, and it's so hard to
say that again. Say that again.
If you're down 50% on an investment, let's say you had $100,000, right? You lost 50% of that investment, so you're down to $50,000, correct? So that 50,000 now needs 100% return to go back up to the same level. And that'll be very difficult because these would be younger individuals starting off. They heard from John or Sally or somebody around that he made that money or she made that money. We might make that. So the fear of missing out is there in younger people and want to get rich quickly. So, investing is like watching paint dry. It's like watching grass grow. It should be that kind of stuff. So anything besides that, you better go to Vegas and enjoy your money.
And we're in a culture of people, we want things quickly.
Yeah.
We want it right away. So hearing you talk about growth and like a tree, planting a tree and growth, that's important for us to hear.
Yes.
It is a growth. It is anything you plant. It is growth. It takes time, and
Absolutely.
to get rich quick schemes. Now it has worked for some people. I hear people who've gotten into Bitcoin at the ground level and certainly have just made a potload of money. But what about the ones who don't, folks? You're not reading about the ones who lost a whole bunch. So just educate. It's a choice. It's a choice.
True. Yeah. Yes. It's absolutely very true.
So now I want to ask you, we're going back to your titles. FMA, what does that stand for?
FMA is Financial Management Advisor. It's a designation that I got from Canada. We're dealing with high net worth individuals and helping them, with their long-term goals. Yeah.
And a QAFP.
So it's a certified financial planner. It's another designation for that, QAFP. So that's, a certified financial planner as well.
Because you've planted your tree.
Yeah.
And you keep having to add the branches. You keep, you keep planting, you keep growing. And that's a thing too. You plant, you grow, you don't stop. True. We have to keep going. We have to keep on investing. If any takeaway that anybody gets from it is just invest in yourself, learn to dream, all of it. Invest in yourself. Whether you save, you could be in show business or in influencer. I know a lot of people talk about that. It's hard work.
Yes.
People think that you just it's hard work to stay on top. There's an investment to be an influencer. There's an investment to be in show business or be a doctor or a lawyer. There's an investment. Yep. So understand that from the beginning. Invest in yourself. So what else do you want us to know? Because I certainly, I'm relying on you here. A lot
I really appreciate it. I would say, you can break it down into 4 steps when you're doing that investment. Break it down into 4 steps. Number 1, decide how much and how often you want to invest. Right? So that's the first thing. Finding that number you can stick with, no matter how big or small that number is, as you mentioned. Even small amounts can eventually grow into bigger dollar numbers. And you'd be surprised if you do those calculations, how big those numbers become. That's the first thing I would say. Number 2, I would say, is to have these regular contributions match with your payday. Because once they are doing that, you won't even feel it that money is going out. Like you're paying your utility bills, you're paying your other groceries, mortgage or rent. So if it is going with that, you're paying yourself first. So that'll be your second step. And third is, let's say you're doing $100, and if you're able to manage putting another $20, so invest a little bit more, right? So if you're able to do that, the compounding effect of that would be tremendous over the long run, because you're looking at 20, 30 years, and that is on your time is on your side, right? So you're planting that tree now, and you're going to benefit it in the future. So that's tremendous. And lastly, the fourth step to begin investing regularly, and perhaps I would say is the most important one here, is don't wait for the perfect time to start, because you're never going to get clear blue sky. Just do it. You know, that's what I would say is, you see, when you invest and the market even goes down, you're still buying at a lower dollar number, right? So you're averaging down with it. So, and there are studies that have done that people who just bought before 2008, the big financial crisis, right? And they kept investing throughout it. And they went into the COVID time. They were still, even in the middle of COVID time, they were still positive. They were ahead of the game in a well-diversified portfolio. So it's really important if you do it that way. Yeah.
And the point you made, there's never a perfect time. Don't look for a perfect time.
There's never going to be a perfect time.
Yeah.
You know, it's about timing the market, not timing the markets. And studies have shown as well that people who benefit the most are people who are long-term conservative investors. That way will benefit long-term rather than trying to time the market. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you've given us some excellent advice and steps, and I can't wait to hear the feedback from our audience. And if you're watching, if you didn't catch some of this, please rewind. Do they say rewind still? But go back, rewind, look at it again, and get the information that you need to if you didn't understand some of it in the first place. And I want to thank you, Faisal. I really want to thank you for showing up and talking to our first-time investors, and actually people out there who maybe hadn't thought about investing. You know, there's young adults, there's parents, there's lots of people out there who haven't thought about investing, or there's a fear around investing because you can't keep your money in the shoebox anymore, under the mattress anymore.
Sure.
We've got to do something with the money, you know, that extra money that we have. So I want to thank you. Now, where can people reach you and talk to you about investing, especially in Canada, here in Canada?
Yeah, in Canada, our firm allows us to deal with people in U.S. and several other countries as well.
Excellent.
That's also a positive. Not a lot of Canadian firms do that. They can call me at the work number. They can email, and by the end of the day, if it is a right fit for them, or they can interview us if they think that we are the right fit and we help them with their long-term goals. That's great. Otherwise, at least they would have a coffee with us that way. Right? So,
that's how I feel like I've had a coffee with you today.
Yeah.
I've had a coffee with Faisal today.
Yeah.
So we'll have your information for everybody at the end of all of this, so that they can reach out to you. And I hope, and I know, not hope, I know that people got a lot out of this. Really a lot out of this, and I hope it was easy for you and not.
No, it was a pleasure. Honestly, it was a pleasure. We do a lot of seminars, we do a lot of meetings, but this type of stuff I was not sure, as I told you.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited to be here, and thank you for having me. It has been a pleasure. I absolutely enjoyed it. It was so nice. You've been a great host.
Thank you, and I hope you'll come back down the road, because I might have there might be a second step or level two, because
absolutely.
we want to keep investing in people, people's mind. We want them to think about this. This is startup. This is what can I do next? And then we're going to have people on who talk about the fear around money. There's a fear, how people view money. So, and how you work towards your dreams. So thank you, Faisal. I appreciate you. And
Thank you very
of
much.
course, thank you for helping me build my own wealth. And I appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much, Sharon, for having me. It was a great pleasure and an honor. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Take it easy.
Thank you.
Until
Take care.
next time.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So if you enjoyed this episode, I would really love to hear from you. Email me at info@outraisedvoices.com or Sharon Lee Williams @outraisedvoices.com. Who knows? On a future episode, you could be the CEO. Remember, your voice matters.